The world thrives on reactions. It demands them. It feeds on them. The weak poke and prod, testing your limits, desperate to see a crack in the surface. They want to know they have control over your emotions, that their words, their actions, their presence has the power to disrupt your peace. Nothing terrifies the insecure more than someone who does not flinch, someone who refuses to be pulled into their circus of chaos. To stay unbothered in a world designed to provoke you is the ultimate defiance. And nothing drives people more insane than realizing they cannot touch you. Modern society has trained people to be perpetually reactive. Outrage is currency. The ability to be offended, to be provoked, to be dragged into every petty war imaginable. That is what keeps the machine running. If you react, you are controlled. If you engage, you are predictable. If you let the noise infiltrate your mind, you are no longer sovereign. And the ones who benefit from this, they are laughing at you. They profit from your anger, from your need to prove a point, from your inability to let the insignificant rot in irrelevance. Look around. The most powerful people in any room are the calmest. The ones who are not scrambling to defend themselves. The ones who do not chase validation. The ones who let the noise exist without ever letting it reach their core. They are the ones who dictate the tempo. The weak scream. The strong remain silent and deliberate. And that silence, that is what terrifies the manipulators, the provocateurs, the insecure who crave your attention to feel like they exist. In relationships, the game is no different. If you are reactive, if you are easily thrown into emotional spirals, if you allow another person to dictate your inner state, you have already lost. The most dangerous people are not the ones who are aggressive, nor the ones who argue the loudest. The ones who truly hold power are the ones who do not play the game at all. Imagine this. Someone tries to trigger you, push your buttons, make you lash out so they can control the narrative. And you? You do nothing. You smirk. You stay unmoved. You do not engage. Now, who holds the power? Psychologically, people crave confirmation that they matter. The easiest way to achieve that? Evoke a reaction. Whether through love, through hate, through manipulation, through chaos, if you react, you are giving them proof of their significance. But if you do not, if their words fall flat, if their actions go unnoticed, if their attempts to pull you into their orbit fail entirely, they crumble. Because nothing shatters an insecure mind faster than realizing they never had control over you to begin with. This is why staying unbothered is the ultimate mind game. It is not passive. It is offensive non-engagement. It is watching people set fires around you and refusing to add oxygen. It is knowing exactly what someone is trying to do and denying them the satisfaction of success. Some people are addicted to conflict, to seeing you lose control, to knowing they have the power to alter your emotions with nothing more than words. Do not give them that gift. Starve them of the reaction they seek, and watch how quickly they self-destruct. Weak minds will tell you that indifference is cold, that staying unbothered is unnatural, that to feel nothing is to be empty. But they confuse indifference with mastery. To stay unbothered is not to feel nothing. It is to choose what deserves your energy and what does not. It is to see the bait laid before you and walk around it, rather than biting like a fool. It is to understand that your emotions are your own, and no one has earned the right to manipulate them. In a world that weaponizes your emotions against you, detachment is your armor. The moment you decide that no one controls you, The moment you train yourself to remain calm in storms designed to break you, you become something unshakable. You become the person that cannot be used, cannot be coerced, cannot be dragged into meaningless battles. And that is what makes you untouchable. You have seen it happen. The moment someone realizes they cannot affect you, they become desperate. They escalate. They throw tantrums. They beg for your attention in the form of provocation. And yet, you do not move. You remain composed. You let the storm rage while you stand still, untouchable, unimpressed. And suddenly, the one who sought control has lost it completely. And you never even had to lift a finger to destroy them. So stay unbothered. Not for them, not for the sake of proving anything, but for yourself. Because in a world addicted to chaos, nothing is more terrifying than a person who cannot be manipulated, who cannot be controlled, who cannot be provoked into weakness. The strongest person in the room is the one who does not need to say a word. Become that person. And watch as the world scrambles to figure out what to do with someone they cannot break. The universe does not beg to be understood. It does not stop to explain itself to those too blind to grasp its nature. It moves, expands, destroys, and creates, all without hesitation, all without apology. It does not flinch at complaints, does not negotiate with resistance, does not wait for permission to exist. That is the nature of being unbothered. It is not something you adopt. It is something you return to, because that calm, that absolute stillness in the face of noise, is already built into the fabric of existence. Look at the mountains. They do not kneel when the wind howls. They stand, indifferent to the rage of the storm, unmoved by the voices screaming at their feet. Time does not make them anxious, nor does erosion make them beg for permanence. They simply are. No matter who praises them, no matter who curses them, no matter who ignores them entirely, the mountains do not care. They were here before, and they will be here long after. Now ask yourself, what would life feel like if you carried that same energy? The ocean swallows everything that enters its domain, yet it never announces itself. It does not roar for attention, does not boast of its strength, does not argue with those who fear it. It simply exists, consuming all in its path without concern for opinion or resistance. It moves forward, always forward. It is not concerned with those who love it, nor with those who curse its name after it drags them beneath the surface. It does not stop for anyone. That is the essence of true power. Not to dominate, not to control, but to be unaffected. You see it in fire. It does not argue with those who touch it. It burns without hesitation, without permission, without remorse. It does not need validation. It does not care who admires its warmth or who fears its destruction. It simply does what it was meant to do: consume, transform, reshape. And those who do not respect it, they learn the hard way. That is what it means to be unbothered. Not passive, not weak, not emotionless, but unmoved by the insignificant. The sun does not shrink when it's cursed for being too hot. It does not dim itself to appease those who cannot stand its intensity. It does not explain why it shines, nor does it stop shining when ignored. It simply continues, oblivious to the praise and the complaints, knowing that without it, all else would wither. That is what makes it powerful. It does not need to be liked to be necessary. Imagine what life would feel like if you carried yourself in the same way. Imagine how untouchable you would become. People exhaust themselves reacting to every gust of wind, every passing comment, every irrelevant opinion. They let the world toss them around like leaves in a storm, too afraid to plant themselves firmly in the ground, too desperate for acknowledgement to stand still. But what is the reward? What does all that reacting bring them? Nothing but exhaustion. Meanwhile, the ones who remain steady, the ones who refuse to be swayed, the ones who do not need to announce their presence, they are the ones the world bends around. Being unbothered is not something you learn. It is something you remember. You were not born desperate for approval, not born with the need to justify yourself, not born to chase meaningless validation. You were trained to care too much, trained to react, trained to prove yourself, trained to be at the mercy of outside forces. But deep down, past all the conditioning, past all the noise, past all the insecurity, you already know how to be still. You already know how to remain unmoved. You only need to return to it. The tree does not uproot itself when the wind shakes its branches. The sky does not panic when the clouds cover its light. The river does not resist when the rocks try to redirect its flow. They all continue, without hesitation, without apology. The ones who struggle are the ones who fight against what simply is. The ones who burn themselves out are the ones who feel the need to respond to every little disturbance, to justify every movement, to seek permission to exist. But what if you just stopped? What if you stopped explaining? What if you stopped reacting? What if you let the world scream while you remained still? What if you carried yourself like the mountain, the ocean, the fire, the sun? What if you stopped begging to be understood and simply became undeniable? Those who cannot be controlled, cannot be swayed, cannot be provoked into meaningless battles, they are the ones who outlast everyone else. You were not made to react to every gust of wind, to lower yourself for every fool, to break every time something does not go your way. You were made to endure. And once you realize that, once you return to that truth, nothing will ever touch you again.